My M5 is back, but this time I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take my car to a shop and have them diagnose a couple warning lights on my dash. Then I'm going to tour the shop and check out some of the cars and facility. Then I'm going to switch back to Monterey Car Week and talk about some of the ups and downs. I'm going to be doing two different things on this episode. The first one is to talk about some of the ups and downs of Monterey Car Week, and then I also want to address some problems that I have with my M5. I'm going to be taking it to SSR Performance in Orange County and try to troubleshoot exactly what it is that's causing some of the errors on my car. The two issues that I really want to focus on my M5 is the SMG malfunction light that turns on, as well as the charge malfunction light. As far as being able to drive it, I have no problems driving around. It's just those warning lights are starting to bother me. So I'm gonna take it into a shop that specializes in BMWs and diagnose what the problem is. I just arrived here at SSR Performance. I noticed a few cars when I was driving in, so let's go ahead and check out the ones that are parked outside, and then we'll do a little tour of the shop inside. I'm here in the waiting room. I just spoke to the tech and they mentioned that they're gonna do some tests, some further testing. So I'm gonna have them do that to see if they could identify where the leak is at. And then we'll go over the breakdown of the things that need to be replaced. We just finished up here at SSR Performance. They gave me a breakdown of all the items that need to be replaced. So I'm gonna head home right now because I got about a 2-hour drive. I'll go into more details on those items that need to be replaced. It was quite the drive back home. It's actually already dark. It took a few hours just to get through Orange County all the way back into the Inland Empire, but my car was able to make it just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down all the items that the tech was talking to me about my car, as far as some things that need to be replaced. Before the tech did a diagnostic on my car, they put it up on a lift and they inspected underneath the car. They noticed that there were 3 small leaks. One is right by the oil pan, and that could be accounted for because I haven't changed a crush washer in a while. It could also mean that the oil pan gasket is due for replacement. Another small leak that they did notice too is by the SMG pump. It's very minimal, but they noticed that it was a little wet around that area. And then the last small one is right back here in the diff. They said that one of the seals might need to be replaced, but again, that was really minimal. As far as the density of the leak, it's very small because even underneath my car, you won't see any spots that it's leaking. So the leaks were very minimal, but while they were inspecting under my car, they just wanted to point that out, that if they're going to work on the car, they might as well knock all 3 out since they're underneath it already. The next thing I want to talk about is the tires. So these are actually pretty old, these tires. When it was on the lift, they inspected the tires and they noticed that not only is it starting to get bold, but it's also starting to crack. I've been shopping around for tires the last couple of weeks, so that's already on my list. So when the tech pointed that out, I already knew that it was a problem. The other issue that I brought up to the tech was that it was giving me the charge malfunction light, and they did a test on the alternator, and right now the alternator is charging the battery up to maximum capacity. There is some surge in power. Sometimes it goes from 14 volts down to 10, then it jumps right back up. So the alternator might be due for a change. So now that the main problems are identified, now I gotta prioritize which is the most critical. And right now, I think the most critical is my tires. Next on the critical items is probably my SMG pump. Because there's a little leak in the transmission, I wanna address this before it gets any worse. As far as the crush washer, that's something I can do. So on the next oil change, I'll be ordering those parts and I'll install that myself. Because it does maintain power, it's just that it has those little surges. It's not a major problem. So I'm probably gonna try to see how others have been replacing the alternator, because if I pay a shop to do that, I think it's gonna be a hefty charge because they do it by the hour, and take out the alternator on an M5, on an e60 M5 is no easy task. As far as the really small leak on the diff, I probably might do one visit at the shop so that they can take care of the small leak on the SMG pump as well as on the diff. So those 2 things, I'll more than likely use a shop to get that done. Monterey Car Week is a very big event and happens once a year. It draws many people from different countries together in one city. And it's not just a one-day event, rather it's a whole week. Super and exotic cars, American sports cars, JDM cars, classic cars, lowriders, trucks, you name it. The entire week is dedicated to cars, and many people look forward to this every year. As exciting as this event is, there's also some downsides to it. And what I'm gonna do on this vlog is share with you some of my experiences as an attendee, because I've been to Monterey Car Week already 3 times. I went in 2019, 2023, and then this year, 2025. The first thing I wanna talk about is expect a lot of traffic. On the way up there, we left early in the morning, but even at that, we experienced a lot of drawbacks. On the way up, we experienced a fire on the freeway, so that kind of slowed things down. And then on the way up, as we got closer towards Monterey, that's when the buildup on the traffic started to get pretty bad. So once we got into Monterey, it even got worse. Going through the city, the line was pretty backed up, especially if it was a 1-lane road. So getting around Monterey wasn't that easy, especially in some of the busy areas like the 17-mile drive, Ocean Avenue, Alvarado Street, and other busy places. Now, in line with traffic, another drawback is trying to find parking. The city is really busy with cars going in and out, but trying to find parking is just as bad because everyone wants to park and walk around the streets and check out some of the cars. You're competing with a lot of people just to get those parking spots. So I found it pretty challenging to find good parking spots, but this particular trip, I think I got pretty lucky getting some good spots. The third item I want to talk about is road rage. Because there's so many cars that are sharing the road, a lot of people can get upset pretty quickly, whether it's changing lanes or cutting people off or people not letting others merge into the lane. All sorts of situations that lead to road rage is pretty common in Monterey. I've seen it with my own eyes and experienced it as well. I'll be talking about a particular one shortly, but in conjunction with road rage, I also want to talk about vandalism because in 2023, I experienced my 911 being vandalized. On one of the Monterey episodes in 2023, I talk a little bit more about it. So you might want to check that out and get more details on that. But the reason why I brought the vandalism and the road rage up is because in this particular car week, I experienced both situations at the same time. Instead of explaining to you what happened, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a few slides and describe exactly what happened. As we got closer to Monterey, we bumped into this group. We cruised with them for a little bit, and when I checked my rearview mirror, I noticed that Eduardo and Surf was not with us. So I radioed them in and they told me that there was a truck that was preventing them from joining us. So I slowed down to check in on them, and the following slides will break down the details of what happened. I'm going to use emojis to describe the situation. The yellow dot is Surf in his GT3. The black dot is Eduardo in his 996. And then, of course, the poop icon is the person who's causing trouble. And we believe that the person in the blue car, or in this scenario, a blue van, was one of his accomplices. When I slowed down and caught up to them, all I was able to see was the two vehicles in the front. I couldn't even see Surf or Eduardo. So what I wanted to do was try to break up that wall and give enough room so that Surf and Eduardo can break free from this wall. Spacing was the key here. So I radioed the guys to be ready that when I slow down and give enough space between myself and the van, that Surf and Eduardo need to accelerate and slide right out of this pocket. Once Surf and Eduardo were in the clear, I told them just to drive ahead and I'll catch up with them. Little did I know about this driver in the truck, and shortly after I found out his intentions. Once the guys were in the clear, the van switched lanes to be right in front of me, and I noticed the truck behind me was accelerating quickly towards me. So at the last second, I switched lanes, and I found out that his intentions was to intimidate me because right when I switched lanes, he switched lanes too. And this caused a problem because he didn't expect me to switch lanes. So in order to avoid me and not hit his friend, he went off on the side of the road. And when I looked to the side and noticed that he was losing control of his truck, that worried me a little bit because I didn't want that person to get hurt. And once he recovered, even though he was off-road, he tried to pass me. So I downshifted and accelerated. And when he found out he couldn't pass me, he went back onto the road and started tailgating me. After a few miles, his accomplice exited the freeway and we ended up side by side. So I looked towards him and I could see all the obscenities he was signaling me with his hands and all the cussing that was going on. So what he did was he cut me off, and I believe he pulled a cup full of soda and he threw it in the air. I did see the cup and I was able to swerve, and the fact that it was liquid, the soda sprayed all over the air, and a good amount of it landed on my car. You can see on these pictures that the soda got my front bumper, my hood, my windshield, some parts of my roof and wing as well. This driver probably considered it a moral victory, so he drove off, and as he was passing by the rest of the guys, he was throwing things at them like water bottles, trash, or other things that he could find in his truck. So he had that total loser attitude. Shortly, I was able to regroup with the guys, and fortunately, we didn't come across any more idiots on the way to Monterey. I didn't get a chance to wash my car until a couple weeks after Monterey. After a good wash, there was still some remnants of the soda. I found it pretty tough to wash it with some car soap, so I had to bring out the DA and polish it out. Now that you got all the information, there remains one question. Would I have done things differently? The answer to that is yes. Now that I look back at it, I think that I could have handled this a lot more better. Sometimes in situations like this, I revert back to some bad habits, and I think that's what took over me at this time. The right thing to do is basically just jump off the freeway or exit the freeway, regroup with my friends, try to keep my distance from this individual who is trying to harass us, let them be on their way, and then we can continue on to Monterey. So that's something I would have done differently instead of stepping in and escalating the situation. So overall, I think the Monterey Car Week experience, the good parts definitely outweigh the bad parts. I got to experience seeing so many different cars from all over the world, as well as the local cars that I see down here in Southern California. And then I was able to spend a lot of time hanging out with my buddies. We share the same passion in cars, so we had a lot of fun hanging out together. And not only that, another thing that people overlook is the bond between yourself and your car. I really enjoy driving my car all the way up to Monterey, as well as strolling around up there with my friends, seeing all these different cars, seeing different people. So that bonding with my car was definitely a good experience as well that many people overlook. Another thing that I really appreciate with Monterey Car Week is the sightseeing, going through 17-mile drive, driving by the beach, taking some of the scenic routes and getting some good pictures. It's definitely something that I look back on as part of all the good memories of Car Week. On the next episode, I got some content on my 911. I have a few small projects for it, which includes my wing and my steering wheel. So that's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.